Why is there a dildo in your kitchen drawer?
Huh?
We are in progress with Destinee Stewart,
Hi.
filmmaker. Hi, Destinee. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi. Thank you for
Des-
having me.
it's my pleasure. Destinee, the film we're going to be talking about is The Other Partners. But first, I want to mention that you are a filmmaker, writer, director, and actor.
Yes.
And this is a fun film. And it does have a deep topic, even though it's a comedy. And we're going to try to explore the depths of that. And before we do, can you please just introduce yourself however you'd like and set up the other partners?
Sure. Hey y'all, I'm Destinee Stewart. I am a filmmaker and performer. I directed and wrote the film The Other Partners, which is currently in their festival submissions right now and screening at different states. The Other Partners is a fun comedic film about masturbation, female masturbation at that, and it pokes fun at the orgasm gaps and just societal thoughts on females and their masturbation practice.
That's fantastic. It is something I am happy to explore today. The orgasm gaps.
Orgasm gap. Yeah, it
What's that?
is the orgasm gap that exists between men and women. And I don't
Okay.
have the stats right now, but it is a wide gap between the number of men that experience orgasms with their partners and the low number of women who experience orgasms with their partner. A lot of that is due to how women are taught about their bodies, how they're shamed about their bodies, how they are limited to exploring their bodies, all contribute to the orgasm gap. And I think
Yeah.
there was even a report that went out a couple of years ago where they tested college students. And it was something like 60% of women didn't know the different parts of their
Right.
vulva
Yeah.
because they're not taught it in
Yeah.
school. They're
Yeah.
taught the male anatomy, not the female anatomy.
I take down notes every time I watch a film in preparation for a play forward, and I always do the same thing: storyline, subtext, and theme. And so the theme for your film I wrote down is equality.
Mm.
And that's really what it boils down to, and you really explore it in a fun kind of modern way. I've got a 5-year-old girl, so vulva is the word that we use, and we're talking about the vulva versus the vagina, which is part of the vulva and all that. And so we're, educating her to be a contemporary person who feels equal to any other person, male, they, this, them, whatever it is. So in that framework, it's really relevant. The orgasm gap is a thing that's out there, and it's a thing about equality. And I'll venture to be as bold as to say, in my humble opinion, but I think it's a mature male sexual partner is one who cares first and foremost for their female, especially in a loving, mature relationship. So putting that out there, and and certainly goes both ways. That said, there is a gap. This film explores it. Like, we walk in, this woman, she's engaged. We don't know what. We hear some voices. There's some kind of fantasy voices. We discover, oh, there's this other object in the room that she's engaging with, and her partner comes in, walks in on her, and he's like, yeah, what? He discovers this thing in an unlikely place. She had to kind of rush to hide it. She discovers this thing. She was kind of in a place where she's stressed out. She's kind of trying to self-soothe and kind of, chill out a little bit, which, it's all very human. And he is bothered by it. He who clearly he loves her. He walks in, he wants to engage in sexual activity. She's like, no, we got to finish dinner. We got people coming over. He discovers this toy, and he's threatened by it, right? He's like, okay, this is as if she's been betraying on him. It's almost as if it's another man.
Cheating.
And
Yeah.
in other words, you say,
I said like cheating on
like
him.
cheating, right? Exactly. It's like cheating. She's cheating on him with this thing. And it's really interesting. It's like, Why is that? Because I don't think that's like an uncommon male reaction. Like I don't think that would necessarily be there's something there. I do that part. Like, why would you
Mhm.
do that part on your own? So that being like the nature of film and the kind of antics and conversation ensues from that premise, in your own life, in your own experience, where did that narrative come from? And how did you, kind of take that and mold it into this story?
Yeah, I feel, and I'm not going to speak for every woman or trans or what be you, but I feel the most shame I've received in my life is towards my sexuality and my womanhood. And that shame comes from my religious upbringing. My dad was a pastor. My mom
Wow.
was a hymn playing pianist early in the morning. Society. I remember in high school and junior high, I would have to, the teachers would send me down to the nurse and they would force me to wear band-aids over my nipples. Even though you can see
In high
male
school?
in high school and junior high, yes.
Hmm.
Even though you can see male nipples through their shirts, I would have to at least once a week be sent down to the office to put band-aids on my
So a
nipples.
teacher would call in, they say they're seeing some nippage
So they
and
would just send me down to the nurses, and the nurse
the
would,
nurse knows what to do.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um, so it's just all of those things. My father also, we've never spoke about it, but he did also find a dildo, which is a whole other story,
Yeah.
which kind of inspired this whole let's find a dildo in an awkward
Bravo. Just let me
location.
clap. Like, to be able to say my father discovered my dildo, I just, in
Yeah, he
a public
definitely
setting,
discovered
I think
my dildo
it,
in my 20s.
I honor your courage for that. Yeah.
He'll never go through my stuff again.
We should send him this video. Yeah.
um,
We'll send him this video.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah,
you
he
were
would
saying,
definitely
yeah.
laugh at it.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
yeah, all of that kind of just was festering in me. And then at that time when I was writing, which was also in my 20s when I did start writing it, or start exploring the idea, having conversations with other women, and just at this time I was in Texas, and I feel Texas is very different from California in mindset. There's a lot of reasons for that. But a lot of women were so uncomfortable with the subject of masturbation and orgasm and talking about it. And I found that very interesting that women weren't as comfortable as talking about their orgasms or their sex lives as men were. And so I kind of just also wanted to create something that was so much of a protest that it spoke for those women who felt uncomfortable having those conversations. And it was like, yeah, you can fuck yourself in your kitchen if you want to, like that is your right if that is what you want. So all of that uh kind of boiled down to that. And the film, I usually when I write starts with a usually starts with either an image that I see or a line of a dialogue. And for
Mm.
this film it was the the part where they're arguing and he says, I did not call him. You called him. And that's where it all started.
Hmm. Mm. That's really cool. Well, I definitely appreciate your boldness and
Thank you.
the intention of what you're doing and the importance of it, because I do think, things initially start off as a protest and then they become an example.
Hmm.
So, I think this
Oh.
film is doing that. And I think the conversation is um, one that's important to have and to be a voice that says, yeah, this is okay to do. And
Mhm.
so, in this process, what I really took on in the film is a woman who's very self-empowered to have this sexual conversation with her boyfriend. And, she handles it very casually. It is kind of like a comedic tone. So he's not like super irate, even though he's upset. I mean, he's not, belligerent or
Mhm.
overly aggressive or, there's no violence there. He has a comedic tone to him as well. And but legitimately threatened. So it's all handled in a very mature way, especially by her. And
Yeah.
she's kind of letting him know, like, hey, this is, okay. And she's being very transparent. Hey, there's more where these came from. You're free and welcome to familiarize yourself with them. And so he goes and he does that, and he's still really personifying these objects. Now, what I would say is that's all on him, except there is, as a filmmaker, director, writer, creator, you chose to have, you gave them a voice. You
Yeah,
gave the dildos.
that
Yeah.
was actually a very last minute decision. That was not, oh, well, I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So it was, maybe it was just like a comedic thing, or,
Mhm.
entirely to kind of, and that works for that kind of comedic thing. But there is something, that I can't quite understand. And it may be, it's like secondary topic. It's really not the most important thing. But why is the man threatened by it? Why is he, do you have any thoughts about it? Is it
Um,
just,
I have thoughts, and the actor has his own thoughts.
yeah, that's
But in
cool.
my head, I really talked to Kunal, the actor who played it. I was like,
Yeah.
you're a representation of my parents, of religion, of society, of everything that shames a woman. That's what you're all representing. And I think there were things that in there would have made any man insecure that were just overtly obvious, like the size of the dildos were all large except for one, which was purposely done. The color of the dildos were all dark brown or black, which was also purposely done. They're in an interracial relationship. So there were all these things and there was just so many of them, like a ridiculous amount I won't even say a ridiculous amount. I take that back. Have as many as you want. But it was a huge box of them. And so we
Yes.
just placed things to just dig at him, keep digging at him. Like, oh, you thought it was one? Okay, not just this one that sticks to the floor in the fridge, but there's this whole trove of them, and none of them are you. None of them represent you.
I think, although the actor himself, he was of Semitic origin, he had some, color in him,
Yeah, he
but
did have color in
give him
him.
that. Come on. But I think what as we talk, I think it's the replaceability.
Mm,
There's a vulnerability in feeling that love and that deep intimacy, and feeling like you can be replaced is threatening, and
yeah,
I
and
think,
in his head, he is
yeah,
because she had done this before. She started this before he came, and then when he
right.
came over, she didn't want it, and so it
Yeah,
is an
sure.
instant like, oh, well, you gave yourself this without me. And I will say on Kunal, like originally the guy was meant to be white, and so that idea happened. But I saw Kunal audition for another film I was producing. I was like, I have to have this guy. Like he is the guy. And so I was like, I'll just get them darker.
Yeah.
Get the batter. He's so good. I love
Yeah.
him so
Yeah.
much. Such a
No,
great actor.
it definitely works. Both the actors did a great job.
Yeah, Luam,
And
amazing, gorgeous, talented.
yeah, they're both very, very well suited for the roles. And you know, getting to perhaps the more important message in the movie.
Mhm.
Um, when you watch the film, and now it's all said and done, what do you take away from it?
I take away standing up for how you choose to love yourself. I take away confidence in who I am and what I desire out of life, and really going after it, and whatever that desire is. It's not just sexual, but whatever my heart's desire is, like I have the right and I deserve it to go after it and to have it. So that's what I really walk away from this film with.
Well, it's beautiful. I think it's really important how to love yourself. That is something all of us can relate to, and allowing ourselves, giving ourselves the permission to love ourselves. Um, sexually, if we can't do it sexually, then where else are we blocked from doing it?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a foundational point. Thank you for that answer. The last question, play it forward, is since making the other partners, how have you been changed as a person?
Mm. I find more magic in my life, I feel. Like I said, that whole the voices were all a last minute decision. And it was a decision that I made in a moment in post. And it's really just made me listen to those little intuitive moments of magic, of what I like to call them little magic whispers, and trust them. I feel way more trusting with myself artistically and personally. And since this film, adding that little bit of magical realism, is creatively something that I want for all of my films. Because when I think about my day-to-day life, there is a bit of magical realism in all of our day-to-day lives. Like I'm talking to my cat every single day, and I swear I hear her talk back to me. That is a form of magical realism. And so it's recognizing, I now recognize those moments in my life and those moments of play more. And I also, and it's so funny, I also feel just more satisfied with myself. I
Beautiful.
feel so much more satisfied with who Destiny is and how
That's
he shows up.
that's so it's a tremendous amount of growth and a tremendous amount of welcoming in of all the possibilities that we have in life. I mean, we can do that. We can live life like that, through trusting ourselves. What does that open up for? And it for you made more magic in your life and richness. And I think that's something all of us can feel as we allow ourselves to trust and love ourselves more.
Yeah, thank you. Have you changed since watching the film?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly it's a great question. I appreciate it. I watched it last night and I woke up this morning and I think I'm more comfortable talking about female masturbation. I was pretty comfortable with the subject, I think, before, but I never had really a chance to go into it with somebody who I never really knew.
Yeah.
And
Welcome to my world.
yeah, and I think I'm just inspired by what you're doing. I think that's how I'm changed. I'm inspired by what you're doing. It's like you got to go after those topics that are tough. You got to go after the topics that people all think, but they're afraid to voice.
Mhm.
You've got to talk about it and make the conversation a casual one. That's it, and with all the politics and all that stuff. People are just so polarized on all these issues. It's like you cannot overcome conflict without synthesis. And in
Mhm.
order to have synthesis, you need to be able to bring in a holistic everything into it, right? And
Yeah,
synthesize it. So I love what you're doing and I'm enriched by it,
thank
and it's
you.
just like, yeah, let's just keep rolling. Let's keep doing it.
Keep making masturbation films.
That's it. I look forward to part two.
Let's close
Oh,
this gap.
that's it. Let's close the gap. Destinee Stewart, filmmaker, writer, director, actor. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank y'all so much.
Bye on Play It Forward. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for being here. If you like it, do the thing, press the button. Bye.